Andy Fenton.
Jason Witten. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, my friend. Good to be hanging out with you, as always, on a fabulous Friday. I was just telling you, just off air, just had to raid my mum's $5 Gossips bottle of wine. We were out of wine.
Opened in the last couple of days, at least.
Yeah, that's not all me, gang.
Well, mate, I've got the Little Red Fox, and it is Little Red Fox Pinot Noir from just down the road from me. A wonderful little place, Foxy's Hangout.
Nice.
Little Red Fox from Foxy's Hangout, a local Pinot Noir, which is quite delicious. Actually, you got it from the local place, because we're getting back into lockdown, which means that Victorians are getting used to ordering meals in again. So all of the local restaurants, in their wise wisdom, put on their special deals again. And this is a Mornington Peninsula classic. They do an incredible Mexico pizza down at Doppio Zeros with an incredible gnocchi ragu for anybody on the local peninsula, and they throw in the Red Fox Pinot Noir from Foxy's Hangout, to make life a little bit more cheerful for all of us in lockdown.
Happy days. Well, that's good news. Good afternoon to all of the crew dropping by. Great to see you guys. I hope we have a clear reception today. Yeah, me too, Alison. We think touch wood, we're connecting via the old Ethernet instead of wireless today, seeing if we can't make it work a little bit better this week. We've been doing a bit of research, so hopefully that works. Rodney, g'day to you, mate. James is there as well. Tough times on the Gossips. I was scraping around, Alison, for some wine, and the only wine that I could find was my mum's $5 bottle of Shiraz that she'd half drunk. So there you go.
This just in, the Gossip website has just gone down because 4 people simultaneously Googled it. That's the most amount of visitors they've had to their webpage in the last several years.
Well, that's good news. And Rodney, mate, good to have you, mate, catching one on the live. So hopefully you enjoy the show. We've got plenty on today, plenty on in the news. There's lots going on. We'll get around to that soon. Jeanette's on the old Stone Lee Sauv Blanc.
Oh,
that's the way. Nice. Now, Jeanette, tell me, Jeanette, are you ice in your white wine or not? I'm an ice in the white wine type person. Andy's horrified. Yeah, well, it's you wouldn't let me drink 1 week old wine last week. Matter of fact, gang, I've got a $200 bottle down in my house that I opened, and I was only having 1 glass a week, and then Andy snubbed his nose at it last week. He wouldn't let me drink it. So,
well, I think for your own safety, mate. I think you said you'd been waking up a little bit dusty, and I think it was from poisoning, not alcohol poisoning. Just
you might be right. Actually, you might be right. I actually poured a glass of it, and I sipped, and I went, it is a bit average. And then I had a taste of the Gossips, and
the Gossip is a standout. So that's what we call in a direct comparison. It's a way to make something good is to compare it with something terrible.
There you go. No, we've got a few people dropping by for the first time in the live, so that's awesome. Yasmin, good to see you.
Welcome.
Corrine, Christopher, good to see you dropping by, mate. Great to see you again. Hopefully everything's going back on track for you, mate. There we go. Shay's saying we're looking clear and the sound is good. So, yeah, maybe the old direct Ethernet connection's actually doing the work today, Andy.
No, did you notice that she didn't say you're looking good and sounding clear? It's
we're looking a bit dusty after those wines.
She chooses her words well, your wife.
Christopher, stay tuned. Andy's got some news about that a little bit later on. A little bit of support for business owners out there and about. There's Tash. Good to see you, Tash. You're outside. Are you outside the lockdown zone, Tash? You're outside of Melbourne though. But yeah,
it's the whole place, mate.
Oh, the whole of Victoria.
Caboodle. Yep.
There you go. Yep. There you go. Oh, Jeanette said no, and she said no twice. No. Twice in the white wine. But Christopher's with me. He's like, yeah, mate, ice and the white wine. Anyway, this is not a wine show. Yeah, there you go. All good, all good. Jeff's got a chip. He got his chip inserted the other day, and now he can pay at Woolworths with his new chip from his injections. But anyway,
Just
good
to
to
clarify,
see.
Jeff, was that the Pfizer shot, or was that the Pfizer blue pill that you took 2 shots of? Just clarifying, mate. Don't want to get it wrong here. I don't want
It
to
is
be
after 5 p.m. Yeah.
leading people astray.
Working Geelong, so isolating. Well, great to see all of you guys. While we were just waxing a bit of lyrical there, saying good day, making sure everyone got on. Andy, we've got plenty on to chat about today. And as you guys know, we've been doing this for a while, helping out property investors and small and medium and large business owners, keeping them up to speed, helping them from our two worlds of property and the world of finance, stock market, and financial planning, business structuring, bit of insight and wisdom in that sort of space. So we've been doing it since lockdown. I think we're on about 55 or 60 shows now, Andy. So, we've got a few under our belt, which is awesome. And we love doing it with you guys. And it's good to see you guys dialing in. But a segment, that one's a bit big. Let's put that one up in the corner there. What we usually do is put what's in the news up over there. What's in the news? We'll talk about some of the things that we think are interesting. That's what Andy said. Oh, that's what Andy said that way. Anyway, and we've got plenty to talk about in the news this week. It's been a pretty interesting week. Bit of up and out and about, and what's going on. There is also there's things we think you should know, and we'll probably talk a little bit about that also a little bit later on. Always keep an eye out on helping educate business owners and property investors understand where they're at, and also we'll take any questions. So if you're sitting there right now, and as we sort of dive into what's in the news, which is usually our first segment, gang, about where we're at, if you've got any questions, start whacking them in the chat. Be great to hear what you guys are concerned about, interested in, whatever it might be. So put those in the chat. But I might throw over to you, Andy, because you and I were chatting off air about a few things in the news, and I think your stuff's right over the hitting plate. So let's dive into what's in the news in your neck of the woods, mate.
Right, well, over here, and we'll just jump over to here. One of my favourite quotes by good old Yogi Berra, and we've got that "What's in the news" smack bang over the plate there, mate. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's.
Did I move it? Let me see. No, it looks like it's moved, but let me turn it on and turn it off again. We go turn it on and then turn it off.
I've got one that's sitting right over the plate, right in the centre. But
that one there, and then off. Is that off now?
Gone. Yep, it's gone.
It was stuck there, but I couldn't see it. But anyway, it's what do you got,
mate? Feels like deja vu all over again by the great Yogi Berra. Yogi, not to be mixed up with Yogi Bear. Yogi Berra was an old baseballer, and mate, some of the quotes of the century. I think one of my favourite is the future ain't what it used to be. And no one goes there nowadays. It's too crowded. But mate, for us down in sunny Victoria, it's number 5. It's the lockdown. We're getting used to it. Not to say that we enjoy it or we're any better at it, but certainly we're starting to become more familiar with it as it arises. Yeah. So, mate, I thought in the spirit of just giving everyone a quick update as to what's available, down here in Victoria, we had the situation of Oliver, which is us going, please, sir, can I have some more to the federal government, who, and as we said last week, we're sort of rightly or wrongly sort of playing a bit of favourites. Not that the PM had anything to say that was favourable about that, but they are coming to the party. So those of you who are in Victoria, you can just Google it and you'll be able to jump on to the Australian website. Let me just get the address for you. But premier.vic.gov.au / cash support Victorian businesses during lockdown, with little hyphens as spaces. So that again is premier.vic.gov.au / cash support Victorian businesses during lockdown. So just the quick long and short of what's happening here is...
Give us the rundown, Andy.
So payments of $600 will be made to Victorians that lose more than 20 hours worth of work during the period of lockdown. So that is, at the moment, it's a once-off. But if the lockdown continues, then we would imagine that will continue. And payments of $375 will be made to individuals that lose between 8 and 20 hours worth of work during the lockdown. Going to be interesting to figure out exactly how they audit that in the future, which will be very, very interesting. Victorian government's direct economic support for the businesses has topped about $6 billion over the course of the pandemic, including more than $500 million through the last restrictions. So there's no further $461 million allocated for the Business Cost Assistance Program and Licensed Hospitality Venue Fund. So some 90% of the program's allocations have been delivered to date, and they will be re-delivered. So effectively, if you qualified as a business in May, June for the support packages, which was about 20 million worth of support packages, then you're automatically going to be allocated into that. So
yeah,
we don't have the full details as to how they're going to roll it out. It looks like they're just going to go as easy as they possibly can. If you qualified last time, you will qualify this time, and you will get a bit of a payday as a result of it. Now, that is generally for those businesses that are most affected, like hospitality, like events, those sorts of industries that just get obliterated when this comes on. But for those of you, reach out if you've got any questions about it. We'll be looking more closely at it as it rolls out. It is pretty fresh off the press. And to be fair, I didn't think that Dan and the PM would actually meet in the middle somewhere. I was thinking that maybe Dan might have had to push him down the stairs for him to make a decision like that. So who knows what happens behind closed doors. There's many of rumours in politics in different areas, different locations, and gosh, isn't it an interesting world? But anyway, so the cash surplus, it is there for the business. It's not much, but it is something. So if you've got any questions about it, flick it off to us. We will do the research, and we will come back to you with more details. Also on that, Jay, so there has been a few people who did reach out during the week. For those of you who did, usually we're reasonably quick at coming back, but apologies, we've been in planning. So for those of you, and I know that a few of you are already on here, apologies for a couple of days late, but I don't want that to dissuade you. If you need to reach out, please do in regards to the Business Support Fund. So those of you in Sydney, you'll already know because you would have been peppered with that, but go to the Sydney government grants, Google that and go to the websites. Make sure that you're applying, make sure that you're getting the information that you need in order to support your business, which, Jace, they're calling it not stimulus anymore. They're calling it an investment.
An investment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One day we'll actually call a spade a spade.
A spade a spade. Well, there is also there was a little bit of conversation during the week, as well as some of the lenders being open to helping business owners also when it comes to their mortgages and their commercial premises. So, gang, reach out. I don't have a lot of info on that one. I've done a little bit of searching, but I've just seen that the banks are absolutely available to help out. And if it goes on for a long time, I'm sure they'll put something in place significant. But as we did last time in the lockdown, reach out to your lenders, let them know. I have to take my sort of hat off to them. They never do anything for free or from the goodness of the heart, but they actually did a good job in lockdown last time and throughout the COVID period for a lot of people. So they'll be flexible this time, and if they're not, give them a touch up on social media, and then they'll sharpen up pretty quickly. But the reality is, gang, you can always apply for mortgage pauses and mortgage help when it comes to your commercial properties, your business, your loans. And I've always found if you're ever in that situation where you're stuck, get on the front foot. Let the lenders know, you'll catch up next month or the month after or whatever it might be, and make sure you don't end up in default, because then that goes on your credit file. Where if you put it on a pause or whatever, yes, they know it's been on pause, but it doesn't officially go on a credit file anywhere where you apply for credit in 6 months' time, and then you're like, oh, hang on, you applied for a pause. That doesn't show up in your credit file. But if you default and you don't pay and you don't talk to anyone, that's what will show up in your credit file. So get on the front foot. But if you need a little bit of, let's call it pre-planning, little strategic pre-planning about getting on the front foot, make sure you reach out to your advisors and make sure you have a chat about what that might look like. Because sometimes you just got to look after yourself before you look after others. And, there's only so much sometimes to go around. So, but anyway, I'm always of the opinion you reach out, you ask for help in this sort of space, and 9 times out of 10, if it's a genuine situation, those institutions will help you out for a period of time. And right now, there's never been a much more valid time to reach out for help, gang. So if that's you, make sure you do reach out. Make sure you do ask for support from your advisors and also those institutions.
Yeah, look, they have struck a bit of a deal with the federal government, and so it's easy to be philanthropic, Jace, when you're just given an open check. I think, but yeah, let's give it to them. They are allowing people to go on pause. They will figure out a way of rate pillaging and plundering down the other end. Don't worry about that. But the one red hot tip I'll just put out there is think about it strategically as well. Reach out and ask for help. But if you're with multiple institutions, just think a little bit critically as to who you want to know what, given these sorts of scenarios, because it's not all public information, won't all be public information as it goes forward. So just be a little bit strategic. And if in doubt, get in contact with your brokers, your advisors, accountants, and actually probably your brokers and the advisors in regards to loans, and just get a little bit of perspective, because you might want to pause some and you might not want to pause the others, and there might be strategic reasons behind doing that.
Yeah, totally. Christopher was just asking Andy, at some point if you could whack that link up, maybe. I know you can put the link in the chat in Restream, Andy, or you could float it up on the screen or something. We'll see. Well, as we roll along, Christopher, we'll get that link up for you, mate, in one way, shape, or form. Even Andy, if you send it to me, and I can put it in the link in the chat at my end because I'm running the stream. Whatever works. But as we roll along,
mate, that's coming across.
So
while that's coming across to you, mate, and hopefully I didn't send it to the wrong person. That'd be a bit random. So let me ask you this: what does Mark Wahlberg, publicly listed floats, and Adam Gilchrist, what do they have in common?
Mark Wahlberg, he's the actor.
Yep.
I like Mark Wahlberg. He's good. I don't know. Everyone, have a listen to this. Mark Wahlberg, publicly listed floats, and who?
And Adam and Gilchrist.
Gilchrist, cricketer. Is that cricketer?
Well, it sounds like it, but no.
Who's Adam Gilchrist? Anyway, obviously, I have no bloody idea.
Mate, well, one of the great stories. I love Marky Mark. He's got a very interesting background. I follow him on Instagram, and I'd been watching this for a little while because I thought, geez, you've gotten right into this. You have gone absolutely deep on this venture, and geez, mate, if it hasn't turned out to be an absolute corker, mate, he doesn't need to make money in films. Old Wahlberg, if he's not acting in Transformers, he is transforming the physical fitness industry with his reputation. And one of our fellow, Adam Gilchrist, has just successfully launched F45 with a $2 billion valuation over in the US.
Shiver me timbers.
Incredible story, absolute incredible story. We know a few business owners throughout Australia who are trying to emulate something very similar. And mate, it's one of these spaces now. And the red hot tip I got from this is that you got to watch these. You got to watch some of the smart celebrities, because they have got COVID has got smart celebrities, and they've literally changed the world a little bit, this whole COVID thing. And I know a few of them started to get in beforehand, but you've got Ryan Reynolds and you've got Hugh Jackman. They're big into this sort of stuff. You've got Mark Wahlberg. Wahlburgers, he's been doing it for years, and also some.
Elon Musk, mate. But you and I talked about this, Andy. I mean, this is like, it's the Wild West. Let's get influencers now to influence the value of things outside the rules and regulations that institutions have had to play with for many, many years. It is the Wild West. This is awesome, or terrifying, or both.
He's been plugging it through his Instagram ad nauseum now for about 2 years. And I've never said it on here. I might have done it last year when we were in lockdown, but I've been watching it intensely because I thought this is going somewhere. Something big is about to happen with this mob, because he is in hook, line, and sinker. But a great story. Australian Adam Gilchrist, backed by the actor Mark Wahlberg, trading debut. Not a bad return on investment for these boys, $2 billion. No doubt there's a fairly sharp amount of that'll be hitting Marky Mark's pocket. And, mate, that won't, but I don't reckon it'll be the end of you seeing this, because we've got to remember that this is also a group sport that is listed during the middle of a pandemic with various different degrees of lockdown. So, mate, this will be one to watch, because I don't reckon he'll back off. Or maybe he will. Maybe he'll get his payday. He'll just piss off into the distance. He'll play a little bit more golf, and he'll stop working out. Who knows? But, mate, definitely an interesting part in the news. But, mate, this is one that's up your alley, and certainly up the alley of every Australian, though most people couldn't give a stuff about what's happening over the ditch, depending on who you are. But there's some interesting things that come from this article, and this was in the Financial Review. Pressure on Australian dollar intensifies. But what this was actually backing behind this is an interesting story, and it's not the headline, but it's the story behind it. So the inflation over across the ditch over in New Zealand, the inflation has started to spark. I think it's jumped 3% over the last quarter. Or last 2 quarters. So half year, 3%, on track to go higher. I'm not 100% sure on the figures. It was something that I glanced past this morning and then read this later on in the afternoon. And so it was making headlines in Bloomberg. And so now they've stated the end of their quantitative easing program. So that's the money printing, the putting money into the market. So there's an abrupt tapering of this, leading many economists to
taper. Is that just a fancy way of saying we're going to stop it?
Yeah. Well, tapering usually is that kind of word where we reserve the right to maybe keep going, and then maybe it'll taper off. But whenever we need to turn the tap on, we'll just turn the tap on.
Yeah.
And we haven't lied to people, so it's all good. But this is really interesting, because what this is going to do is it's going to increase the currency over in New Zealand. Obviously, the Australian dollar will depreciate relative to that, and it's dipped 0.3% on Thursday. Look, I don't think that's any.
I've got some money in New Zealand. Andy, I got to get it back. Andy, after this, we're going to have a chat.
Well, mate, that's good. If the Australian dollar's falling in value and you got bucks over in New Zealand, then that's good for us, because you'll get more for that. If the Australian dollar falls relatively. So, but you're sitting good. Maybe you want to just have a little bit of a wait, because generally what happens in the world of interest rates is the world is basically at zero interest rates. So if you're the US and I'm Europe and we're trying to, borrow funds or deposit funds somewhere, we want a decent interest rate for the risk we're taking. But at the moment, our return is close to zero. So if these guys...
cash is trash, Andy. Cash is trash.
Cash is trash. But these guys are starting to try and raise their interest rates.
Yeah.
Now, this is the projected raise down here. So this is the RBNZ, Royal Bank of New Zealand. Not sure what's royal about it, but well, of course, they are part of the money. I'm not. I'm just having a stab. There's too many of my good New Zealander mates who will just rip me apart if I launch in any further. But this is what they're intending to do is to raise rates up to a 2%, which is a pretty massive kind of jump by May. So in 2023, or I think it was February, they're aiming for 2023. So that's a pretty steep increase. Depending on where the rate is right at the bottom. I didn't double check that, but basically if it's at 0.1, it's about a 200% increase. So, mate, that'll be really interesting. So New Zealand dollar may well go up. That is their intended taper. That is what they've announced, and they've announced that on the back of inflation. So they're targeting the same things. And inflation meaning asset prices have increased, cost of goods have increased. So they're saying that they can raise interest rates as a result of that. The knock-on effect in general economic terms, all other things being equal, will mean that the New Zealand dollar will increase relative to the Australian dollar. So if you've got money in New Zealand, that will be better. If you don't, and you're looking to put money across to New Zealand, not great. But so for many counterparts who have actually sold out of New Zealand and repatriating funds out to Australia, of which we know a number, this could be a really good thing for you. Yeah. So that's on the back of the CPI data.
Yeah. Well, arguably too, Andy. Arguably, we could see that in Australia coming this way. I mean, right now, I was just talking today. We were looking at buying another car from one of our businesses. We bought one. I don't know, maybe 14 months ago. The price of a car has gone up $6,000 in 14 months. And the second-hand car we bought, now 1 year old, we can actually sell for a profit. First time I've ever, more than I bought the thing for. That's unheard of.
It's the old used car thing was it loses 20% as soon as it goes off the lot. Well, mine actually went up 30%. Like it literally went up 30. It's unbelievable. We could have, and this is the first time I've ever seen this. And I love this sort of stuff because it comes in complicated markets. The arbitrage.
Arbitrage, mate. It's a good name. I like arbitrage.
Arbitrage happens, and it gets squeezed out of financial markets so quickly now because of computer-based trading. But we could have arbitraged the car. And I was saying to Mags, I wasn't allowed to, but I was saying to Mags, we could literally have bought a new one, sold the old one, and walked away with money in our pocket.
Yeah.
Same car. Exactly the same car. I was like, I can't figure this out. I can sell the old one, buy a new one, and be better off. I couldn't believe it. And I can't believe I didn't do it because I would have just loved to have told that story for the next 40 years. But so the difference between the RBA in Australia has basically said we have no intention of raising rates out to 2023. That was some commentary from the RBA, but of course they're allowed to change their mind and their underwear, and probably as frequently as each other. But this data here was the worrying sign was 4.9%, and somebody put it in the chat earlier on. I saw it come past, so bang on. 4.9% unemployment rate. So that put pressure on the Reserve Bank to start to think about raising rates. This most recent lockdown that we're experiencing now, though, is enabling the Reserve Bank to have some stones about it and say, whoa, because we don't know how this thing's gonna
pan out. Yeah. Yep.
So the long-term effect of this lockdown, remember last week I said this lockdown is going to be quite pivotal. It's going to have some very interesting statistics that come out of it because it's in the second biggest hub in Australia, soon to be taken over the future biggest hub in Australia, which will probably be Brisbane because there'll be nobody left in Victoria.
We've got plenty moving up here, mate. Plenty moving up here.
So, mate, that's definitely one to watch. Especially for your mob over in New Zealand.
Totally,
and for our mob out here. And, mate, finally, and look, there's so much in the news. It's absolutely magnificent. And this is a good news story. And this is what I think we should be doing out here, Jace. We're not doing anywhere near enough front foot activity. That's because we're in Australia. We don't have to. We're rich in comparison to the rest of the world. So we can sit around and do fuck all good and just squander the incredible resources as a country has to give us for many, many years into the future. Or we could take advantage and have a look at one of our friends. And you and I, Jace, have talked about going on a holiday to Japan. Sorry, a
work trip.
study trip to Japan.
Skiing in Japan, the study in Japan, yep.
And so those people who know about low interest rates, well, Japan knows about it better than anybody because they've had them for longer than anybody, I believe, in the world. And they've never really got off the base. But here's it. BOJ, Bank of Queensland.
Bank of Japan. Japan, mate, Japan.
Zero rate long-term loans in the climate scheme. They're calling it the green lending scheme. Hence the backdrop down here over there. Mate, so they're literally doing long-term loans via the banking system to support green energy investment and the production of green energy. You and I talk about the green energy bank account and renewable energy money account, money-making machine. They're literally taking this to the next level, and they're investing in the future sustainable energy resources in Japan. And it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, mate? Because they used to be the big tech giant of the world back in the days of Walkmans. For those of you who don't know what a Walkman is, read a history book from around about the 80s or watch an
I don't think you and I attract the young viewer, Andy, to be honest.
So it's basically what ruled the world before the iPod. And if you're still too young to know what an iPod is, it ruled the world before Spotify.
Mate, I just had a vision of you being uber cool with a Walkman, longer hair. Like, I guarantee you've got a photo somewhere. It'd be good. Andy Fenton should bring that next time to Wine and Wisdom, I reckon. But,
mate, with the rewinding pen in the ear, so you could spin them around like this while you're listening to one, you're rewinding the other one.
Just in case. Well, mate, you and I have talked about this, and I, I've got a theory that I think zero interest rates is actually good for the world, because what I believe, when there's too much money to be made and sitting money in cash like a big fat squirrel, sitting on resources, what that does, it forces countries and institutions to print money. This is kind of my theory, and it's certainly not founded in any education, but what I can see from the bleachers is,
don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
No, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. But at the end of the day, the way I see it, if the uber wealthy or large institutions are just sitting on bucket loads of cash, and that cash gets them 3, 4, 5% return for doing 2/5 of fuck all, excuse the French, why would you put it in the market? Why would you put it to risk? Why wouldn't you just sit on that money? I'm actually a big fan of low interest rates. I'm actually a big fan personally of lots of money going to work. And that brings jobs, that brings innovation, that brings shit like this. That brings, let's lend some money to people. I'm sure they're charging a setup fee, and that's how they're making $1 or $2. But, you wouldn't get this going on if they could leave their money in cash somewhere and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. That's what I'm saying, Andy and Alison. You might be right. There's a mullet or two hiding over in my neck of the woods as well.
There's some photos that should never see the light of day. I've seen a couple of yours.
There's a bit of collusion going on. My wife's listening in, Alison. Now I'm buggered. She's probably going to...
Oh, mate, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, look,
they're right in there.
There's a lot of people who took sympathy on me over my life, I can tell you. But so this is look, for those of you, again, chatting with your member, and just for those who are a bit confused by what the member is, it's your local representative.
Let's say if your local politician, Andy, is that who you're talking about?
That local member, yep. That represents the local member that represents. if you're chatting with them, chat green, chat about, what are we doing in the renewable space? Because I don't know if and we should line this up and repost this link. It's a fabulous link of the satire of Australians' economic stance on the green energy cars. So the electric cars. It's hilarious, and it's a great satire. Absolute gold. If somebody's got it, whack it in the feed, because it's incredibly good laugh. But how we're treating it is just a disgrace. Like we all know that that's where we're going. Everybody knows, without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, we know that's where the future is, right? But here in Australia, we're still making it harder. One of the few countries in the world, soapbox coming, one of the few countries in the world that taxes the bloody things instead of providing rebates and incentives to own them. For a country that wants to be at the table, Jesus, we do some pretty stupid things with our money. Spend a few $2 billion on not doing an east-west, we do a west-east link. It's that kind of twisted thinking that really gets us into trouble. So now that Jason and I are making sure that you're chatting with your member more often, maybe you can bring up the green energy and at least chat with them about where are our subsidies for our green cars? Where's all of this? Because then we'll get the green cars as well.
Yeah, dead right. It's our job. I mean, unfortunately, the politicians are just, making decisions to get re-elected. And you and I, Andy, have waxed lyrical once or twice when we've had too many glasses of wine about bloody, running for a seat or something in the future, starting a political party.
Becoming a member.
Becoming a member. Yeah. And at the end of the day, let's face it, gang. It's up to us to vote with our feet. I was chatting the other day with our crew, and Andy, I was like, "Well, put your money where your morals are. Put your money where your morals are, gang. Like, I mean, come on. Let's have a fucking grown-up conversation here. Don't sit there on your high horse talking about, nobody else is saving the world when you're not fucking doing it. Like, vote with your money. Put your morals where your money are. Like, don't let institutions ruin the planet. And then you sit there going, oh, yeah, I'll get a cheap loan from fucking Westpac. Like, that drives me insane. Like, if Westpac's not behaving, take your money off them. Give it to someone. In this vein here, Andy, as part of my segue to my little rant there for the moment, is, I've got a couple of lenders right now who are offering home loans that now give environmental zero carbon rebates. Now you get the home loan now that there's extra money going towards saving the planet, planting trees, those sorts of things, right? So it's like, well, let's do that. Sam and I have worked on zero carbon, actually positive carbon. The properties, our developers now are contributing towards, if their properties aren't carbon neutral, they have to now contribute to planting enough trees into our charity to now neutralize the properties our investors are buying. All right. So, let's do our bit, gang. Japan's offering money up. It can all work. Like, everyone can make a buck. The world can go round, and and we can save the planet too. It shits me.
So you're saying, Jace, that we could get a loan and get some carbon offset credits that might be able to offset the taxes that we'll pay to buy an electric vehicle?
Well, mate, there you go. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
That's a strategy right there.
Yeah. And Alison's sort of saying there's a lot of companies now, just doing the ethical investing, which is great, gang. It's up to us to make those decisions and really force that stuff to happen. So that's good. That everyone's getting in there. But over in my neck of the woods, Andy.
What's happening?
A few things going on, and kind of like what you were talking about when it comes to, the world of, money out there. You were talking about things going on with Marky Mark and his crew. Big news in Sydney. The new biggest hedge fund in the world now, $2 billion, just launched out of Sydney. Gang, $2 billion hedge fund, Catalyst, And, Andy and I've talked about this before. There's money everywhere looking for a home right now. There is money for jam. There's no defensive assets, and this is not financial advice, gang. I'm not a financial advisor. So, don't hang us out to dry here.
Well, there are some defensive assets, Jace.
Direct real estate, come and talk to me. But allegedly.
Allegedly.
But, cash is trash. You get fuck all for it. Government bonds are low on the return, and money's looking for a home. And this is what I love. This is my sort of thing, Andy. Like, money's out now. Money's out of those fat, wealthy people's accounts, and it's looking for a home, and it's gonna bring jobs. And that's probably my point is, if that money goes to work, if it's sitting in a bank account somewhere, it's not creating jobs. It's not stimulating innovation. It's not stimulating, the economy. It's just fat and lazy. And that shits me to tears. And you and I sit there all the time talking to, rich, poor people, Andy. Like, all the time. We see so many people who've got assets that are worth $6 million, right? And they can't even buy a coffee. It's like, well, why can't you buy a coffee? Well, my income's shit, but my assets are worth something. And we're like, well, you're the richest poor person I know. Money's not working. And I'm actually quite glad that, this stuff's going on. These hedge funds, you've played in those spaces before, Andy, and you could probably tell us stories that would curl our toes.
Well,
but,
I knew not that long ago a $2 billion hedge fund that didn't actually have any money invested. Well, maybe leave that one for another day, Mr. Maddox.
Another day. But you and I know that, this stuff is a closed loop circle, right? Money comes in, it goes out, it gets put to some idea, some thing, people get employed, stuff gets done, contracts get written, the money flows, and it creates, and it builds, and it's jobs and activity and stuff. And I'm a big fan of that. I actually believe that more of this should be happening. And if anyone's listening in and a bit motivated, right now, there's never been a better time to be a marky mark and promote something and raise some capital and get a deal out of the ground, because money's looking for a home. Like, it's an interesting time. But
no, don't give us any more damn Instagram models trying to blow things up, mate. Jeepers creepers.
There you go. But I thought that was pretty interesting. It sort of dovetailed into what you were talking about, marky mark, money floating around, deals getting done. Who's influencing what money in the marketplace right now?
Well, and that's the thing, is that when you do look at Japan, and I keep saying that we're in unprecedented territory, and you and I have talked a lot about this, but when we do look at Japan, they haven't really succeeded in raising their interest rates, but they have had some significant returns in their share market. They've contributed significantly in various different global ways, if you will. Certainly also in the whaling sector, but we don't talk about that. But they've managed to run their economy extraordinarily well during times of low interest rates, and that's why I want to get over there, Jason, and chat with a few old connections from back in the day.
Yeah,
and really just get an on the ground view, not a bullshit market review of our papers and the sensational crap that gets put up into headlines these days.
Some 22-year-old journalist just out of uni reporting on something that someone else said.
100%. Like it was a little while ago, and we were dealing with Nomura Bank and bring them out to Australia, and they were on the low interest rates back then. It was never even a mention in the conversation, and I'd never really thought about it until just recently. But it was never a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
And so that makes you think. Now Nomura is one of the largest banks in Japan, and you start thinking about that. And if it's not an issue for them, you start to go, well, what is actually the issue? And to your point, if money can't be stored and just drip feed value out, it has to be sent out to work, and it works efficiently when it's out, because it will circulate very, very quickly, and it'll find a home where it is utilized and circulated.
Yep, absolutely. Mate, it's the laws of nature, Andy. It's the laws of nature. If water is stored and it doesn't move, it gets stagnant and it poisons. Like this is like cash. Cash is the water of the economic system. Cash is the water of our nature system. If it doesn't keep moving in the economic space, it gets stagnant and it will poison. Like it just gets less and less valuable. You know this. We know this. Inflation goes up. The interest rates can't keep up. Like the cash devalues. And that's why you and I have been saying for 2 years now, cash is trash, gang. You got to have an asset at least keeps up with inflation. And I think to your point with New Zealand, I think we're going to see inflation in Australia. I've seen 20+% increases in land prices and construction prices, and that's going to flow through because that flows through. It's quite a large chunk of the Australian economy. It's going to flow through at some point. And I think Jeff was talking about asking his boss for a pay rise. You're going, "Oi, give me a pay rise," and the boss is going, "Well, hang on, mate. Don't ask for me for a pay rise now. The unemployment rate's pretty high." But Jeff, I think that'll change pretty soon, and we will see some changes. Right now, I caught up with an accountant today, and they were talking about not being able to get. There was 1,000 jobs, Andy. It has this 1,000 auditing jobs available from Adelaide to Brisbane right now. They cannot get those jobs filled. Right? They can't get the jobs filled. It's not that there's not jobs. There's just not jobs for the people. The skills aren't matching the jobs right now. So, yeah, interesting times. I think we've said that 1,000 times. Interesting times, but there's stuff going on, and I think if anyone who's clever, who knows how to pour concrete or dig holes, when it comes to infrastructure, there's going to be some interesting opportunities in those spaces as well in the next couple of years, I can tell you. But anyway, hey, listen, what else is in the news for me, Andy? Look at this stuff. You and I talked about this before. Commercial real estate, and also more importantly, that logistic real estate, right? That logistics real estate, it's strong. Australia's a sexy place for it. It's attractive, and you check this out. Yields are really strong. Foreign money is looking to come into Australia. Well, it's a safe place with big returns, Australia, especially in this commercial property world. And supermarket chains now spending billions on smart technology inside their logistic locations. Quick story, Andy. You'll love this. And I've actually done some research. I meant to talk to you about it. The other day, I had to go to Brisbane Observatory. Went to the observatory as a little bit of an outing with my 11-year-old son. We went to check out the stars. Anyway, on the way, chatting to the bus driver, and the bus driver said, "Yeah, I live over there. And did you know that right now in my suburb, I actually get access to drone deliveries?" And I said, "What the WTF? What?" So he lives in Western Brisbane, and they are trialing drone deliveries. He can get a barbecue chicken. Listen to this. He can get a barbecue chicken delivered. No, I'm not kidding, Andy. He can get a barbecue chicken delivered to his house for $4.62. It gets dropped in his driveway in less than 16 minutes. Like it was like 15 minutes. Mate, it's insane.
Is he out there with a catcher's mitt?
It comes down in this little box. I'm like, "Explain this to me. I think you're fucking pulling my leg." Right? And he's like, "No, mate, I'm not kidding you." And he's in a catchment area where this drone company is testing drone deliveries. And they've been testing there now for 6 months. And I looked it up and I was like, holy shit. This is the future. And we need to invest in some friggin' drone companies. It's insane, Aaron. I'm telling you, bro. It's insane. And he's like, "Mate, like me and my wife, we haven't left the house in 6 months. we just type into the drone company, and it'll be it's crazy. So, mate, I think the combination of drone businesses, logistic real estate, because you and I talked about this, it's the last mile. Like, we got to get that guest on the last mile. And man, I was like, holy shit, this is I feel like chicken tonight. Go, David. Listen, Allison's flying drones at work. You're like, shiver me timbers. It's on. Anyway, yeah, I was blown away, Andy. And, it's just like this stuff, logistics, big technology in food and delivery and stuff like that. It's an interesting time. And what has happened is this technology is accelerated because of COVID, right? That's what's happening. Like, do you know what I mean? It probably would have taken another 10 years to get there, and slow and steady would have won the race. But I think this acceleration, it's right here, right now. It's under our nose. It's going on, mate.
Mate, I'm curious. I'm really curious. Did he order the potato salad with that as well? Like, maybe a bottle of wine or something just to go with the chicken, or is it just the chicken?
We were driving along the freeway, and there's like literally 20-foot high billboards going, drone deliveries, sign up for the drone program.
Wow.
It was mad. Anyway,
mate, it's all happening. It's all happening in Queensland. You guys are leading the pack, but that whole logistical space, and this is definitely one to watch. And we're doing a bit of advice in this area at the moment. I'm really keen to be looking at these logistical spaces where they pop up, because the difference between Australia and the US and England and a lot of the advanced places in Europe is that we're big country, small population. Yeah. Which means to get that last mile right is absolutely critical. So location is going to be the key. Location for industrial property. It is going to logistical industrial property. It is going to be an absolute key to the success and the profitability of these companies. So in America, where the Amazon hubs are, these logistical hubs for Amazon in America, they go berserk, because Amazon pour a huge amount of money to make that, and they want their employees, because there's still a lot of employees that are a part of these robo factories, but they're just behind computers, not so much on the floor. Yeah. But they want them to stay. They want to create a community hub. They want to be able to get cheap labor. So they want people to really enjoy what they're doing, because if you enjoy it more, you can generally do it for less. And so they've really turned some suburbs on their heads and done incredible things. And if you get on the right side of that, mate, it'll be an absolute mozza, because I reckon they'll be looking where everybody isn't. And when you see them moving in, it'll be too late. So, mate, watch that space. It's one that I'm looking at super, super keen, and I'd love to look at doing some deals around that later on down the track, because I think that you're onto something there, mate. There's some real opportunity there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting, and I think there's a combination of things you and I have been chatting about: the real estate, the technology, the money, the locations. This was happening in Western Brisbane, which was on the doorstep. There's a Western Brisbane corridor, which is an infrastructure, commercial real estate corridor. So, it's quite close to the real estate that they can have those distribution centers with. And then there's the residential built around it. So, yeah, I actually think, I'm just chucking a little pontification out there, Andy. I think suburbs will be redesigned around these types of things. It'll be redesigned around drone centers, around delivery centers, and it won't be around transport nodes. They call it 20, 30 years, right? It won't be around, can I get to the train station anymore? It'll be, can my drone deliver to my property? There's my call, folks. There's my call. I think I'm channeling the future. We'll see how we go.
I reckon you're right. And Bernard Salt talks about the same thing in many of his presentations about those satellite cities, and
Yes.
it
20
makes a lot
minute
of sense.
20-minute neighborhoods.
20-minute
Yeah.
neighborhoods. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Dead bloody right, mate. It's interesting. It's certainly interesting. And that's where that lifestyle maneuver about, regional living and stuff like that. It's like lovely. It's nice to live there. But will those big companies, will they set up logistical centers in those places? Question mark. I don't know. I haven't passed my opinion yet. But yeah, maybe we'll miss out. Maybe that infrastructure now is going to be something that's going to be central. But here's one sort of over our heading plate, mate. We like this one. This is our kind of like little bit of fodder. Check this. Check this out. Right. Check this out. There's a bank card going to let people spend their Bitcoin. It's coming. There's a card. There used to be like digital wallets and shit like this. There's a couple of young blokes coming up with a regular card. You can tap at the FBOS machine, and the Reserve Bank in Australia. They've already said, all right, we're going to have a look at having a central bank for digital currencies. They're all getting in there. They're all putting their snout in the trough, Andy. They're all putting their snout in the trough. But
I love that too. A card that lets users spend their Bitcoin trading profits in shops and bars. Well, like you'd have had to have been in there well over 6 months ago in order to be getting a profit at what is it now, 42,000.
Well, would have come down from 80 to 42,000, but
it's incredible. But look, that's the hardest thing about getting your money out of crypto is really
liquidity.
Getting it out of the system is harder than getting it in is very easy. But this is where this is where if you really want to get into this stuff, and I don't know enough about it really, but what I do follow is where the hedge funds, where the big banks, where the big players are getting into these currencies and testing them, because they're testing them for use in practical terms. And in the meantime, they're having a shitload of fun, probably just raping and pillaging profits from the uninformed optimist who are jumping into these currencies, and they'll be manipulating because they're to their heart, or allegedly they'll be manipulating, of course. But they're testing and measuring. So there are coins that are very much backed by hedge funds, large global institutions, and they're all trying to figure out a way of how do we do this. And this is where this next article is going to go, I reckon, which you're obviously going to chat to a little bit on the Reserve Bank.
Totally, mate. I think Christopher sort of said, can you, Christopher, if you want to connect with Andy, find him on Fenton Financial. Send him a message. Easiest way for Andy and the team to be connected with if you're there. And few people are having a couple more than one or two glasses of wine tonight, which is awesome. So that's great to see. Everyone's getting right into it. But anyway, Candace is sort of talking about, came in late. The Todds. Such a thing. Wow, it's interesting, It's
the Dodge developments, maybe drone-orientated developments. Well, there we go. Wow. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The Dodds, the town planning Dodds.
I think you're onto something there, Candace. Transport orientated and drone orientated. Loving that, because really at the end of the day, it's such an interesting time to be, in this sort of space, and that could be sort of rearranging the locations of where people live. Where was it? Actually, it was in Japan. Those super fast trains. You can catch a super fast train that's like 140 kilometers away, and it takes 20 minutes to get to the city. So depending on the infrastructure, and I think it'll be multiple bits of infrastructure, which is great as we go along. And Sam has been talking about this stuff. Work and livability. Where can I go to work, and where can I live, and where can I play? Like it's got to be close. I don't want to have to go forever all over the place as we as we grow our neighborhood or whatever. Because Andy, like, I mean, gone are the days I remember growing up. I don't know, folks. I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but I grew up in a town with like 150 people on a good day, and 100 of them I was related to. So, I had to sort of leave to expand the gene pool, or there would have been some problems. But we had to go. We had to drive an hour and a half to go to the big smoke, the shops. If we ever wanted anything better than just the regular bread and milk, we had to drive. We had to drive hours to go to our location, and now it's like on my bloody iPhone, I can press a button and my Uber driver shows up with my takeaway, and now my drone's going to show up with friggin' anything I want. It's crazy times. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's good. Allison's gonna get a drone dinner up on their Ari apartment. I actually wouldn't doubt it. Allison, yep, you get the hot chicken on the balcony.
I've got to find a friend in a drone friendly location and get on ordering. I'm going to see how much we should find a place, Jace. We'll do one together. We'll find a place. We'll rent an Airbnb out, and we'll just see what we can get delivered by the drone. It can be the drone International Drone Day by Fenton Witten Co. And we'll see how much we can order.
We're doing it. Well, listen, I think Michelle, one of our listeners, is going to be up in Queensland at some point. Fingers crossed. If the border lockdown does not occur, or unlocks anyway. So let's do it. Let's make that a fun thing. We'll order some stuff by drone, because I think that's absolutely golden myself.
Chickens can't fly. I love that. They can now.
They can now. Absolutely. Well, mate, like we said, folks, there was lots in the news, and we only got sort of partway through this evening.
Only scratched the surface. Huge amount of stuff. Yep,
a big week.
Lots
a big week or two. Yeah, absolutely. So we might sort of put a pin in it there, Andy. Like, plenty that was in the news. There was one or two questions, but I think you sort of circled round on that one from Jeff anyway, which is the employment stats as we go along. But team, plenty of support out there when it comes to small business owners, anyone who's got some challenges. So reach out to your advisors, and we put that link in the chat. And if you guys need any direct assistance or some help, we're always here. Like we say, track us down on Facebook and send us a message. Always happy to assist and give you some feedback as we roll along. But there you go, mate. Big week in our worlds. But I think it's time to put a pin in it for Wealth, Wine and Wisdom on 16th of July, 2021.
And maybe we'll make the theme of the future, and certainly was that in our planning session over the last few days, that I think it's all about the last mile, Jace.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or win by a mile. Winning's winning. And I think you're going to be winning if you have a look at the last mile in your area, in your neck of the woods, whether you be an employee, whether you be an investor, and whether you be a business owner. Looking at the last mile, and of course that's the metaphor that we spoke about earlier on, and we are still tracking down our supply chain logistic expert to come onto Wine and Wisdom to chat about this. But it's the last mile of delivery which costs the most and has the most amount of friction. So wherever that last mile is for you, look for the last mile and see how you can sharpen that up, make that more efficient, make it easier, so you can make the journey a little bit easier for you with a little bit less friction and hopefully a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's all about the last mile.
I think we've just named our investment fund, Andy. It's called the Last Mile Pty Limited fund, and I think we'll launch it sometime soon. So stay tuned, folks. Because we'll invest in last mile infrastructure. I think that would be a fucking game changer, which would be pretty cool. So there you go. Last mile infrastructure. It's coming, Andy. I do have, and I've been tracking him down, and he has accepted, Andy, a very cool guest when it comes to the world of crypto, blockchain, and that technology. He said he would come along being a guest. He's been in that space programming all sorts of coins and working with the blockchain for over 10 years. He started when he was like knee-high to a grasshopper, and I think he'd be a great guest to get on. So you and I might circle around this week and see if we can't get him on, and if we could get our last mile expert on sooner rather than later, that would be super cool as well. So I think we've got some good guests coming up, folks. So make sure you keep tuning in to our Wealth, Wine and Wisdoms on a Friday. And Candace, thanks for the shout out. We always have a bit of fun on a Friday, sometimes it's probably our favourite part of the week too. Just blowing the dust off and having a yarn, and you guys with us is always lots of fun as well. So awesome to have you guys here, Andy, as always, my friend. Fantastic to hang out with you and chew the fat. Happy Friday. And for the rest of you guys, have an awesome weekend. We're going to put in this one, Wealth, Wine and Wisdom, done and dusted on the 16th of July, 2021. And I reckon we cracked a few atoms there today. Along with you guys. Yeah, exactly. Last mile investing and some drone activity along the way. And certainly some good insights there when it came to Candace and some of her stuff as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. I reckon that'll be a new one. Candace, heard it here first. If you don't claim it, we probably will. But just before we do sign off, I know from your heart, mate, because we talk about it, we've got a lot of friends in both areas, both Victoria and New South Wales. Anything we can do to help you out, please let us know what you need to know, and we'll do our best to get our sources onto the information for you. That's how Wine and Wisdom was born from the COVID crisis when it first started, and that's the purpose of this show is to help Australians in around all things finance, but especially business owners. So we know that you're doing it tough, and also salary employees. We don't forget about you guys either. We know that loans and deferrals and things like this you need to know about. So our thoughts are with you, both in Victoria to my compadres down south of the border, ondale, riba. We're used to being called Mexicans, but now unfortunately our New South Wales compadres are there with us, and so Jason and I both send our hearts out, and whatever we can do to help, please shout us out on the page, and we'll do our very best to find the very best solutions for whatever the challenges are that you're facing. But for now, I just want you to know that you're in our hearts, you're in our minds, and we hope that you're finding ways of being able to spend it with family, and from time to time, maybe outside of the puzzle universe in a way that is not too tiresome, because it can be very, very tough depending on your circumstances. So our hearts go out and our thoughts are with everybody out there. And if we can help, let us know.
Absolutely. Let us know. Thank you, my friend. Well said. Beautiful words. Have a great weekend, folks.
Good to hang out. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.